15 million merits. We have chosen to present the episode 15 million merits. It's the second episode in the first season of the series Black Mirror. It was instructed by Euros Lin, and it was released in the year 2011. The story is about this man named Bing Madsen. He lives in a dystopian society where people make money by using these training bikes, and they're forced to do this every day because otherwise they'll starve and get demoted in society. Bing's brother recently died, and he inherited a lot of these points, or merits as they're called, and he really doesn't know what to use them for because he's frankly pretty tired of society. He's not even angry or sad, he's just kind of apathetic. But this all changes when he meets the woman Abby, who he hears singing in the bathroom, and he's so stunned by her singing that he decides to give her all of his points to buy a ticket to get on a show, so that if she wins the show, she gets to move up in society. He decides to do this because he feels like it would be really nice to actually use his points for something and do something meaningful, instead of just biking to bike. And Abby is of course very shocked, but decides to accept, and they develop a relationship and grow close. But then when she has to present, she sings very wonderfully and is loved by the fans and the judges. But the judges says that she's not something original, that she's too samey like everyone else. And one of the judges, who also owns a porn channel, then says, "Yeah, but we would like you to work on this instead." And Abby then feels pressured by the audience and the wish to have a better life, so she accepts that, even though she originally just wanted to be a singer. And of course Bing is very angry about this, as we'll learn later, because he feels like Abby was cheated and frankly pretty much abused by the judges. He then decides to get his own plan for revenge. So one night so that since he's used all of his points, he can no longer skip the forced advertisements that they are forced to see each evening before going to bed. So when there plays a porn advertisement with Abby in it, he gets really angry and smashes some mirrors to get a piece of glass. He then spends the next month training or earning points religiously, so he can get enough points to get on the show again, in which he pulls the glass up to his throat and threatens to kill himself if they don't listen to what he says. And he then rambles and says about everything that's wrong in society, before the judges finally decide that they love it, and they really like how he speaks the truth, and, well, not really the truth, but his own personal opinion, and then they give him his own show. So in the end, he kind of becomes the person he wanted to fight against. The Hollywood model. The Hollywood model applies to this story as well, with the inciting incident of the story being when Bing first meets Abby, the confrontation or the point of no return being when he gives her the points so that she can enter this show. And after this, there's the entire conflict escalation because of Abby's kind of being cheated. And finally, there's the climax where Bing himself enters the show and puts a piece of glass and starts threatening himself, the judges, and everything. And then there's the resolution where he starts doing his own show on the televisions that everybody watches. The main conflict for Abby himself is at the very end of the movie, where he's offered the place on his own show, where he can continue speaking to the people and preaching his message and saying his opinions. We think he has a very strong internal conflict at this point, because he could either choose to decline and then just go back to his normal life. he could choose to kill himself, which also, wouldn't be all that nice. Or he could just accept it and be a little bit of a hypocrite, but then still get a better life. And we think one of the main messages of the story is that also when people love to criticize the system when they're at the bottom, but as soon as they get the chance to get to the top, even if it's at the expense of others, they'll still take it.
I will now be talking about some of the different cinematic effects used in the movie. This first shot is the establishing shot of the movie, this one being a wide shot because we can both see Bing and his surroundings. The reason that the directors chose to make it a wide shot is because it introduces us to the fake environment that the characters exist within, and without just showing Bing. And when first seeing the movie, you can perhaps think that he's some sort of prisoner or a criminal, but you will later find out that this is where everybody lives. This next shot is over the shoulder shot. These type of shots are very popular in cinematography. The reason that they're so popular is because even though Abby is speaking, we're reminded of Bing's presence. This creates a sense of relatability to Bing and is sort of another variant of the typical POV shot. Now I will be covering some of the dystopian characteristics that the film revolves around. First of all, propaganda and control of information. The screens in front of the bikes are controlled by the elites, distracting them from the tyranny that they are trapped within. They often mention the name Selma. Selma is a famous person that they are presented for every day on the screens, and this results in most of the workers saving up their merits to try and enter the talent show, even though most of them don't really have any real skills or know what they want to be famous for. Abby even says, when being casted for the talent show, after being asked, "What do you want to do?" she says, "I guess I just want to be as big as Selma one day," which exactly proves the point that most of these people, they don't even know what they want to be famous for. They've just been told that this is something everybody can achieve. Another dystopian characteristic is constant surveillance. The people live in a totalitarian society that has a high technological advancement. This technology is weaponized against the citizens of this society and is used to track everything that the citizens do day in and day out. Complete loss of individuality. The people live in a society where they're forced to wear the same clothes. They're identified by their numbers, not by their names. And the only ways they can creatively express themselves are through their doppels. Their doppels are these fictional avatars that they can spend their hard-earned merits on. For example, for buying new fictional clothes for their fictional characters, or new fictional dances for their fictional characters. Extreme socioeconomic class divides. There are, in general, three social classes in the film. The middle class being the ones slaving away on the bikes every day. The lower class being the ones cleaning the areas where the middle class bikes, which are basically like offices, are kind of what they represent. And then the upper class, which are the ones that basically made it out of the middle class because the leaders found some way to take advantage of them. And then, there's basically some sort of elites that we don't get to know much about, but these are presumably the ones controlling everything, being the puppet masters at the top. And the people are forced to live the same lives, staying in their social class, unless the leaders basically see a way to take advantage of them. And another thing that the leaders use to stop people from rebelling is they do a great job of turning the different social classes against each other. And this is basically a ground principle for any tyrannical society ever. It's called divide and conquer. It's something that the Romans used and Genghis Khan used, that as long as you turn the people against each other, they'll never wake up to and face the actual tyranny that they're being purported. The natural world is banished. When being asked by Bing why he hasn't seen her around here before, Abby says, "I don't know, I just went 21 last week." Keyword being went. Presumably this means that she's been in this social establishment for the last 21 years, since she doesn't look to be at the age of 21. This can mean one of two things. Either the outside world is so bad that this world is a better alternative, or she has been forced into this world against her will. Both answers being equally reprehensible.